Hello, and welcome to Flatball Photography's coverage of the 2021 Central Virginia Open presented by Foundation Disc Golf. Coverage of today's card is brought to you in part by Gabriel Cabrera Photography and supported by our loyal patrons. Want to see more MA1 and MA2 action? Head on over to patreon.com/flatballphotography. My name is Tanner Grandclair, and I am joined today by my co-commentator, Jack Williams.
Good to be here, Tanner. We've got a special lineup for you today here at the CVO. Bedford, Virginia is the first stop on the Blue Ridge Disc Golf Tour, an event meant to highlight the top players of the Blue Ridge region in high-level BRDGT sanctioned play, and we have no shortage of talent with over 200 competitors representing much of Appalachia. But first, let's kick it over to our presenting sponsor, Flatball Photography. And welcome back. All right, Tanner, we have a solid lineup today, but can only follow one card. Tell us about our golfers.
Absolutely. Today we're going to tag along with the amateur advanced card of Jason LeBlanc, Zach Stover, Spencer Foley, and Griffin Spencer. Zach is definitely the guy to watch, an up-and-coming golfer who's made quite the splash here in West Virginia. He boasts 4 career wins, 3 of them in MA1. Expect him to play smart, methodical golf today, while still making the big plays when necessary. All right, it looks like we got Spencer Foley starting us off on our first hole here. The whole information on the hole here is that this could be a 433 foot with a par of 4, and looks like quite a bit of it over water. Jack, how far did you say that is over the water there?
That's about 175 feet over the water, which Spencer Foley absolutely rips his disc over. No doubt cleared the entire length of the water. It's just an impressive shot as we head over to Griffin Spencer.
Ooh, unfortunately, I don't think he's going to quite follow that up with right into the trees there off to the right. Not quite what you hope for on your initial drive. Let's see if Zach Stover here has any better luck on his initial shot.
Taking a warm-up there, which is important. Got to stretch it out.
Well, of course. Calisthenics is very important. And it looks like he's absolutely going to rip it across there.
Very nice shot there from Stover as we head over to Jason LeBlanc.
See how his initial drive goes here. Again, quite a high level of difficulty getting it right across the water there. Pulling a little to the right. Ooh. Off the trees and back towards him. Hey, at least it didn't hit the water. So a little better than it could be, but
absolutely
definitely not what you hope for. And here we have. Go ahead.
His third shot sets himself up on his second to go over the water very easily on shot number 3.
There we go. Much better for Spencer than his initial drive. Let's see if LeBlanc can follow up his initial unlucky throw with a better one to get across the water here. A little closer start should make it a little easier for him.
And he absolutely nails it. We are all 4 over the water as we get closer to the hole.
And looks like Foley's lining up for some pitching up. Good pitch up, getting himself closer to the basket there.
We head back over to Jason LeBlanc.
Looks like he's analyzing, seeing just how close he can get on this throw.
Looks like there's a lot of trees in between him and the hole. See how he navigates this shot.
Definitely not the clearest shot. Looks like he's looking for a better angle, see if he can get one, but I don't think he's going to find much. Looks like he gets through a gap there, gets a lot closer to the basket.
As we come back over to Zach Stover, who's clearing some foliage, it looks like. Proper footing is important in disc golf, so getting those branches out of the way is important.
Well, of course. I mean, can't be blaming the branches on it if you miss a shot. So, see how he can navigate, because it looks like he's also got some trees in his way here. See how he can navigate it. See if he has some similar luck to LeBlanc on navigating the trees. And it looks like he's going to have some pretty good luck getting in there as we move back over to Spencer. And he's really not having much luck with the trees today.
Had the right idea, disc just wouldn't break for him closer to the hole. Hits it right off the tree as he pitches up closer to the hole.
When we move back to Foley, looks like he's going to go for a shot on the basket. See how he does here.
Ooh, just an unlucky shot there.
Real heartbreaker for sure. However, it looks like LeBlanc's going to nail it, and that puts him in with a bogey.
Griffin Spencer's going to come clean up. He's going to try and finish for triple bogey 6. And he nails it.
And we'll see how Griffin Spencer can do, or excuse me, Stover can do here. And looks like he also is going to get it. I believe the only one to go par on this one.
Stover finishes with a par 3, and Foley finishes with a bogey 4 to wrap up the hole.
Then on to our next hole here. We got a par 3, a total of about 276 feet. About 122 of that is over water there in that basin there. So not the easiest shot to get, because not only are you starting even further from the water than the previous hole, but you got about the same amount of distance in water there.
Yes, as Foley tees off. What an absolute rip from Foley.
That's so good.
Wow, talk about that. I mean, that's within 10 feet of the basket on his initial toss. That's going to be the shot to beat today, for sure.
Oh, what a shot. As LeBlanc comes up to the tee, trying to repeat that. I don't know if anyone will be able to repeat that. That's one of the best shots I've ever seen in disc golf.
Especially at an amateur level. Like, I don't know. He's got a pretty good shot, but it's kind of veering off the left in the woods there. Ooh, that's going to be hard to fight through all that foliage in there. That's not going to be a fun one to work around.
He had the distance. It just veered off slightly to the left into the trees as Spencer comes up to the...
Say it more than slightly off to the trees. Let's see if Foley has some better luck. Or, excuse me. Oh my gosh, excuse me. Spencer has some better luck.
It appears he hooked his off to the right, whereas LeBlanc hooked his off to the left as he tries to get a little closer on his second shot.
Looks like, is that LeBlanc out there potentially? He's the only one deep enough to be in the woods out there, so looks like he's going to try and get himself out of the foliage a bit, see if he has any good luck getting out of there. That's not going to be easy.
No, not at all. Here he is. Footing looks off. He looks like he's on a hill, potentially. What he does? Oh,
You're putting.
It looked all right until you saw that other angle.
Yeah. That little hill's a killer on this hole.
It's like Stover's trying to work out his next plane here. Doesn't look like he's got a very clear shot either from where he's at. But distance-wise, he's not got too far to work, but he's right in the edge of those bushes there. Not the cleanest shot.
No, distance-wise, he's actually in a really good spot. It's just that tree right next to him is not helping his case at all.
See as he goes for it here. There you go. That's what you like to see. That puts him right within striking distance.
and he did not go down the hill, which I think is the important part of that shot. He stayed up and can easily put that in next shot as Spencer comes up with his third shot.
And as you can see from the angle, ooh, deflected off. But as you can see from the angle there, that basket, all the way back.
I got crevassed again.
But as I was saying, as you can see from that angle, the basket's sitting right on the edge of a little small cliff there. So if you undershoot or shoot too far to the side, it's going to come right back down the hill. And as Spencer just learned, see if he's got any more luck on this shot. And dings it right in, putting him for a bogey of 4.
Pretty much the exact same shot he took the last time, finished it off perfect that time.
Let's see how LeBlanc does get himself out of this hole as well. Ooh, unfortunate. That was for par, so this one will be for a bogey. All right, moving on to the next hole, we can see this is going to be quite the doozy in terms of distance. This par 4 is a 689-foot hole. The unique part being it's kind of V-shaped. So the first about 300 feet is actually downhill, and then the rest is a push back uphill. So if you're not careful, even if you get a very solid initial start, you could have your disc be rolling all the way back down, and that puts you in quite the pickle. So far, the drives have been pretty all right. We're kind of slicing over to the left here and towards that vegetation, which is going to make it quite difficult for those follow-up shots. Let's see if LeBlanc has some better luck than his competitors up to this point.
What a drive by LeBlanc, straight ahead. Looked more on the money than the first two.
Looks like... Ooh, that's not what we like to see. Spencer following up, but...
He saw the first two hook it left, and he tried to adjust and ended up over-adjusting. Put it too far right on that one.
Yeah, it looks like the majority of our competitors today are going to be fighting some underbrush getting up this hill.
Yeah, those are some pretty tall trees in the way of the hole here. This Foley seems to put it in a decent-looking spot, not the worst spot in the world.
Indeed. As Stover approaches, you can see very faintly in the distance the actual basket, which just gives you some of the idea of the scale of this hole here.
No,
they have quite the ways to go, and as you can see, most of it is actually completely uphill with not a lot of space before you're going to run straight into the trees and shrubbery. However, it looks like Stover's going to get a pretty solid shot. Not quite as much as we'd hoped.
Looked good on the initial release, but hit that tree and kind of just sputtered out on the way down. It's an unfortunate break there for Stover.
See if LeBlanc can get himself out of the woods. Oh, no more luck there either.
Got a decent friendly roll after it hit the tree, so it wasn't the worst case scenario, but you don't want to hit a tree there, especially in a long par 4 like this one.
Does seem like Foley has got some much better luck, putting himself what looks to be right on top of the basket. Quite the shot there, if that is landing quite where I seem to have landed. Oh, yeah, that's what you like to see.
Oh my God, just an incredible shot.
LeBlanc here still stuck in the trees. Looks like he's got some thick brush right in front of him as well on top of the trees, so he's got quite some work to get himself out of here.
Footing looks very uneven too. He doesn't look like he's in the best spot at all.
Again, quite the difficult hole here with the oh, there you go. Some nice friendly bouncing towards.
Some nice community leaves there to stop the disc too, very close to the hole.
I like that. And once again, another solid shot, getting him a lot closer to the basket here. Looks like Spencer's going to take a shot from what appears to be about 30, potentially 40 feet from the basket. Let's see how it goes for him. No easy shot by any stretch of the imagination.
Not at all.
Ooh, close. Not quite what he was hoping for.
A great approach. Just put it just a little bit right. As Foley comes up to take his next shot.
Oh,
Oof.
almost.
Much
That would have
closer
been
than
for
that.
par. As LeBlanc goes for a shot.
Yeah.
Absolutely nails it. LeBlanc finishes there at par. Very impressive showing from him.
Especially from the starting position in the shrubbery that was not too great. See how Foley follows up and gets it in for a bogey.
Here comes Spencer. Probably the easiest shot you'll ever take in disc golf.
Once
And he
again,
also finishes with a bogey.
and let's see how Stover does here. Putting it right in. Once again, another bogey. Just looks like the only par today on this one was LeBlanc. All right, as we approach this next hole with a, we got a par 3 with about a 341 feet distance to the basket. The difficult one is this is almost entirely on the downhill. Is entirely on the downhill, about a 45-foot drop in elevation from the start to the basket, and a very narrow corridor to get down there. As you can see, maybe 15, 20 feet across, surrounded by some thick trees, which our first shot here went completely wrong right into the trees. It looks like Foley's going to follow as well over into the trees.
It's arguably one of the hardest holes we've had today. There's just very little room for error, and so much can go wrong.
Agreed. It's definitely one of the more technical of of the holes on this course. Requires a lot more control because if you just try to power it, you're likely going to slice either left or right into the trees, and you're going to have some serious issues getting out.
Ooh.
That's no good. Speaking of, looks like Stover here has a pretty bad shot here. Slices right, hits a tree, and bounces really far left. So that's going to be interesting to see him try to fight his way back out of there, don't you think?
Oh, it was like a perfect 45-degree angle from like hitting the tree and the disc traveling. It was just not good. Ooh. Speaking of not good, that also was not good. Just an awful ricochet off the tree there for
Since
Spencer.
they're not having much more luck.
That was super impressive.
Yeah, this one's definitely getting the better of all golfers tonight. Let's see how LeBlanc's going to do on his next toss. Try to get himself a little more back on track. Once again, those trees are very much a problem.
No, yeah, this is our golfers are having a tough time navigating this, and it makes sense. It's just one of LeBlanc gets close to the basket and hits a tree, puts him in a really decent spot compared to some of the other golfers.
So it looked like he tried to rely on the disc, try not to muscle it, just trying to let it glide its way. And actually, that tree may have benefited him because it looks like it would have soared clean past. Looks like Foley's going to attempt to do the same thing, just kind of rely on it to do its own thing. And hey, there, it's supposed to muscle it out and gets himself pretty close to the basket as well.
That was a beautiful shot, putting close, setting up for a putt attempt.
And now we see Stover. He actually appears to be on the fairway of another hole. So I think he got knocked so far off course that he's going to have to fight through some trees that he's not designed to fight through. It's probably very difficult, probably very, very difficult to try and fight his way through to get back even onto the right hole at this rate. That ricochet really's done him in on this one.
Yeah, it was a really bad ricochet, and he's trying to get it back, and he has a very nice toss.
He got distance.
Off another tree, but in a better spot than he was after his tee shot.
Definitely much closer. Looks like Spencer's going to try another shot and not get much luck on those ricochets either. Trees are really getting the best of him today. This course definitely requires some very strong technical skills to try and have some more accuracy to get yourself through these trees without any issue.
Absolutely. Stover comes with his third shot.
Ooh.
Just another tree shot. No, this is a brutal hole on this course.
And reminder, folks, this is actually a par 3. Doesn't look like Spencer has much more luck. Stover contemplating his options here. Really cursing them trees, wishing they'll just step out of the way.
Pitches up there, gets him a little closer to the hole as we cut back to LeBlanc.
Ooh. He had a good throw, but that roll's gonna hurt him in the end there. See if he can pitch himself in any closer.
No, almost falls there. Once again, footing just not good. He's on, it looks to be a pretty good incline as he attempts this putt.
Oh, man. Real close. That would have been for par.
I will take that. I've never
Looking
seen this
as
before.
Foley finishes with a par of 3.
Here everybody else is pretty much in putt position. There's
So
one.
as there's Stover finishing with I believe a bogey, or double bogey on this one, as well as looks like there's for Spencer and Foley as well.
So you know that. Okay.
But what? What are you gonna?
No. I see how it is.
What are you gonna have to?
Nope. We're not friends.
Moving forward, we got our next hole. It's going to be a par 3 with a distance of about 302 feet. It's another rather tight, kind of congested corridor with a lot of trees where if you slice just a little to the left or to the right, you're going to have a lot of issues getting through the trees, as you can see.
The hole also features a bit of a low ceiling, so it prevents the players from just powering through right to the hole. You gotta be a little more technical, as with most of this course, to get the disc where you want it to go.
So we got Stover launching it here. Looks like just about hit the cameraman.
An unfortunate displacement for the cameraman there. A nice shot for Stover, though, as we head back up the course to Griffin Spencer.
Looks like he didn't get quite so lucky on some ricochets there, but maybe that roll might put him in a little bit of a better situation than where he started, as LeBlanc seems to be out in the woods. Seems to be his mantra on this course. Once again, the trees
This course
proving the
just
better.
unforgiving. The trees.
Ooh.
Whoa.
Looks like Foley had a rather unfortunate toss. Or excuse me, Stover had an unfortunate toss. Wow, once more. Griffin Spencer, an unfortunate toss there, straight into the dirt. This next toss
That
seems to
would
be
be
doing
if
a
you put
lot
a
better.
disc in my hands. If you put a disc in my hands, that's what you'd be seeing from me. Shots like that.
Especially on a course this difficult, I'd be struggling, that's for sure.
No, it would be in the water for a while.
Looks like LeBlanc's got himself in nice and close. Looks like Foley here is going to attempt to get himself... No, why do I keep saying Foley? Man, I am all over the place today. Try again. Stover tries to get himself a little closer in here. He's really, really contemplating here. It looks like it did him good. Got him pretty close there. Now we're actually with Foley here. Unfortunately, he's down in the creek bed there, so he's going to have quite a difficult time getting himself into position to get a good shot here, because between the creek bed, the water, and probably not a very good position to try and get some good footing in here.
No, it looks like there's some rocks on the ground that could be affecting the footing. He looks very uneven, unsteady. This is a very difficult shot for Foley.
And given the way that this particular hole is, he actually has to be on the closest dry land, which unfortunately for him was a rock in the middle of the stream. So he has to reach into the middle of the stream there. Oh, man, not quite what he was hoping for there.
Good idea, just a little high off the top of the cage.
Spencer hits another tree before he puts it in there for a double bogey.
Everyone's just going to putt in real easy. We got Foley finishing with a par. We got LeBlanc finishing with a bogey. And Stover is going to just drop that right in there for a par.
All right, on our next hole, we've got a difference from the previous hole where the water in the creek was actually not out of bounds. On this hole, any disc landing in the water will be considered out of bounds. So that is something to keep in mind, is that we'll tack on an additional shot for any of our players today if they manage to land in the water. This is a par 4 with a distance of 420 feet. Nice.
Yes, experts would say this is probably the nicest hole on the course.
It definitely offers its fair share of challenges with that creek bed running in there, which, as you'll see later, actually not only is on that right side there, but then curves to the left right in front of the basket, making it a very difficult approach there towards the end.
Yeah, well, that has completely changed my shot. I'm going to top those fairways, see if I can get some good.
See here. Stover really contemplating.
Out of anyone we are featuring today, Stover really takes his time the most with his shots. There's a lot of talking to himself, a lot of calisthenics before the shot. It really shows in the way he's been playing today, though, because he's had some of the nicest shots of the afternoon, and that one just adds on to that. What a perfect shot that rolls right onto the fairway.
So I was a little left there, but that roll put it right back where it needed to be, so definitely a little bit of luck, but definitely a skillful shot to start it off with. Let's see if LeBlanc can follow up here. He's had a little bit of a rougher afternoon, but we'll see if he continues his streak today. Little off to the left from the fairway there, but definitely much better than going straight into the creek, so I'm sure he won't complain too much on that one.
Absolutely. As we head back over to Griffin Spencer, who takes a different path than the previous two shooters, goes to the right more and gets good distance off a tree, but gets good distance on that opening shot.
Kick back to LeBlanc, who's trying to get a little closer there. Looks like he ricochets off a tree and off to the left. Probably not quite what he was planning for, but again, better than the creek.
Absolutely. Ooh.
And the trees are just proving absolutely torturous for our golfers today.
He got a decent bounce off the tree, which was good for him, but yeah, these trees are just brutal on this course today.
Let's get back to LeBlanc, analyzing his approach here, seeing what he thinks is the best move to get himself towards the basket. Fun fact, a little insider knowledge on this one. So the basket is located on what's called the island on this here. That looks like an OB.
Right into the water.
Anyways, the basket is on what's called the island because on the front side, the creek curves in front of it and around the side, and then the back side around the edge is OB, so you got about a 30-foot circle where the basket is, where you're either going to land in the water or land in, if you overshoot it, into OB, so it would be more or less an island, even if not fully surrounded by water. In regards to our golfers, they might as well consider it as one.
Stover once again taking his time, planning his approach as he keeps it low to the ground. Very interesting shot, but keeps himself out of the creek. What I can tell.
Kick it back to Foley for his next approach here. Plans to approach his next shot. No, it wasn't. Let's see here. I think he's going to be out into the creek. Oh, you hate to see it.
decent distance, just overshoots the island to the left.
Getting Stover going through the motions, getting himself ready, taking a shot there. He's gonna get right up by the basket on the island there.
What a perfect shot off the tree. Oh, Spencer looks like goes OB off to the left, right where Foley was earlier. As we head back to LeBlanc, who's had a rough go of it this whole landing in the creek in this last shot.
Let's see here. Oh, right back into the creek. Not his best go.
Stover cleans up for par. Another impressive showing from him on this hole.
As we kick back over and see how Griffin Spencer's going to approach his shot up close here to the basket. Approximately 25 feet here. See if he can get it in there or not. And he gets it done.
Beautiful.
Drops it in there for let's see here. Drops it in there for another par. Or excuse me, a bogey actually. LeBlanc getting himself positioned. Trying to get some good footing. Cleaning off the disc. Yeah, I can imagine a wet disc would be difficult to throw, and with his propensity for the creek, probably not the easiest time getting a dry. Oh,
right off the chains. This has not been LeBlanc's hole at all.
See if Foley can get it done, and he does for another par on this hole. And I believe that just leaves LeBlanc to try and drop it in for his triple bogey. All right, moving on to our next hole. A little information here. We got a 358-foot shot here with a par of 3. And once again, those trees, man, they're getting the best of everybody today.
I took a 4.
Yeah, I got you.
That you are right, Tanner. These trees are they're everywhere. They're good for the environment, but for these golfers, they're just not it at all.
Honestly, I'm starting to think they're reaching out with little arms when you can't see them and just smacking them aside. See how Stover gets a heck of a shot in there.
Puts it right off the front of the tree, it looks like.
See if Griffin Spencer can follow up any better. Definitely pull off to the right there. See how LeBlanc approaches this one. Pretty solid shot right down the middle up until those trees there. Looks like he gets off at 2 of them. And Stover, once again, doing his analysis, breaking it all down, taking SAT in his head, approaching this the most scientific way possible.
He's really methodical with everything he does in this game. It does show on the board as he puts that shot right down close to the hole.
Flip back over to Griffin Spencer for his next shot. A little in the trees there, but
Yeah. Oh, great tree.
flip back over to LeBlanc, see how he's doing here. As you can see over to the left side of the screen there, the basket's actually elevated a little higher than usual and is on a bit of a slope there. So any shots going at the basket, if you miss, puts you in quite the predicament for that hill down there.
I'd like to note Spencer Foley has had an outfit change. He's now wearing a striped shirt. He went from a solid to a stripe. I don't know how it's going to affect this game, but it's important to point out.
Oh, I think it's absolutely critical. So Stover here is approaching quite the death shot here. As I was mentioning, all you have behind there is open air and a downward slope. So if he goes for it here and misses it, he's going to end up 40 to 50 feet downhill from the basket. So it's quite a dangerous shot to try and put it in here. But let's see how he goes for it here.
Arguably one of the hardest shots of Stover for the day, and he
just nails it.
Nailed it.
Perfect right in the middle of the basket for a par there. That's what you love to see. Foley here, seeing if he can follow up on Stover's luck. And gets a ride on in there for another par.
I blame that one on the stripes. Absolutely electric putt there. And LeBlanc there for par.
I don't know. You may be right on the stripes thing. And moving on to our last hole, we got a distance of 486 feet with a par of 4 here.
One of the longer holes we've seen today, Tanner.
Most definitely. Which, once again, is going to prove some of the same challenges they've had so far. While there's no water obstacles, those trees, they're out in full force as always.
Those trees, man.
Telling you, that's what's so neat about this course is between not only its design. Oh, that's not bueno.
Interesting approach there, keeping it low to the ground like that. But the trees are the silent killers of disc golf. That's what I always say.
Especially on a course like this, where it's definitely far more technical, where you can't just. There's certain spots like this where you can just absolutely rip it and hope for the best, but at the same time, if you're not careful, put a little too much force and not enough technique into it, you're just going to launch yourself out into the trees and have a fun time fighting your way back, as several of our golfers have discovered today so far.
Spencer comes up. He also keeps it low and seems to suffer the same fate as Stover. Didn't look like he hit a tree, but he kept it low and hooked off to the left.
Let's see if any of them decide to change their approach here. Looks like Foley's here considering a hammer toss. We'll see if he decides to go through with it or keep the traditional throw here. Sticks with a hammer. With looks like a decent roll there.
Yeah.
Looks like that hammer toss paid off for him here. Spencer here considering, and looks like a pretty solid toss there, down, getting himself closer to the basket there. Stover once again pondering all his options, thinking over the meaning of life, working on his approach here.
But like we've said in the past, the taking the time seems to be working well for him. Looking at the scorecard, he's having a fantastic first round.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Don't take that the wrong way. I like to poke around and joke around, but it's definitely paying off for him. So if he wants to take his time and methodically approach it, by all means. As he continues to check his angles here. Looks like he gets an absolute monster of a toss until it's interrupted by the tree there. Definitely probably the best throw we've seen thus far on this hole.
Yeah, for sure. A generous bounce off the tree, too, putting him in a pretty decent spot going forward in this hole.
Let's see how LeBlanc decides to approach. Checking out his angles, seeing where he wants to go on this one. Looks like he's kind of got an option to go either to the left or the right of this clump of trees there.
It appears he's also taken his hat off, which is an interesting move. It looks cold outside. That's why he's still wearing the jacket, but the hat came off.
Again, we'll see if the wardrobe changes here have any advantages on the toss. Kicking it back over to Griffin Spencer for his next toss here. Looks like he kind of ricocheted off to the right there. Back to Foley. See his next approach here. Oh. Probably not exactly how he's intended.
No. Spencer's on to one knee here, it looks like.
That's an interesting form, and it looks like it's going to pay off for him.
A bounce off the tree, but it looked to be in a decent spot for him. Redeemed
Appears to be in a better spot than Foley's gotten himself into here. Moved some brush around and probably likely stuck with another hammer toss because he's got some stuff directly there in front of him. Dover comes in to probably put himself in range for a good putt. A good friendly bounce there, keeping himself nice in the open. skip over to LeBlanc as he's approaching his next shot.
LeBlanc really taking his time with this, thinking about it. Puts himself in a great position close to the basket.
See how Foley goes. Is he going for the shot or trying to get himself into putting? Looks like he's getting himself into a good putting position. And kick it back over to Stover. Really, once again, taking his time, going through the motions, really prepping himself for the shot.
Mm.
Good.
And off the chains to the left. Not what you want to see, unfortunately.
No, that was to save par too. That's a rough putt as he finishes for bogey.
Kick it back over to Griffin Spencer as he goes for it.
Oh,
And unfortunately bounces right off the chains, very similar to the previous shot, but drops it in there for a double bogey. And
LeBlanc
LeBlanc finishes with par.
yeah, a great show for him that hole.
All right, as we wrap up the front nine, it looks like all of our golfers are well within striking distance of first, save for Griffin Spencer. He's just having an all-around tough round.
That he is, Tanner. It's important to remember, though, the long tees on this course were designed by five-time world champion Paul Macbeth.
Which definitely does explain the high level of difficulty and technical skill required to reach par on these holes. I mean, we've seen numerous water obstacles, and of course the trees are absolutely just brutal because you have such narrow corridors to get through here. Definitely makes things very much uneasy for your contestants.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. That's why on this front nine for these four golfers, only one birdie total. That was Foley on the third, and two triple bogeys, Spencer on the second and LeBlanc on the seventh. Just an overall a hard course and a rough go of it for some of these golfers this afternoon.
However, some of them are performing rather well. I mean, Foley and Stover are actually tied for third overall at this point, and LeBlanc is tied for 19th. So they're, with the rest of the course still to go, well within range to be able to make up some ground on some other holes potentially that they may have lost on this nine here.
If you enjoyed today's coverage, consider becoming a patron. Every dollar helps Flatball cover events throughout the country and keeps the show going.
Thank you for tuning into Flatball Photography's coverage of the Central Virginia Open. Make sure to come back here next week as we catch round one of the back nine here in Bedford.